Hello and welcome to episode 24 of the CPRW podcast. My name's Colin. I do Colin's Punk Rock World and CPRW Records. Today we are joined by Dan and Lara.
Hello.
And special guest Mark Bell.
Hey guys.
Like, if you don't know Mark, you've probably worn one of his t-shirts or at least seen one of his designs. He's a super talented, brilliant illustrator and also plays guitar in... Are you technically still based in London? Because you don't live in London anymore. But
Mate, none of us are based in London, apart from Matt, really, and Mike. So we're all over the place.
Well, you only ever play at New Cross, so New Cross-based skate punk band Mug.
Thank you for that. That was lovely, Colin. That spoke to my ego nicely.
No, Mark Bell was like, I've said this on the blog, in the actual sort of written blog a few times, like how important Mark is to the Colin's Punk Rock World existing. So it's awesome to have him on. We haven't got to talk in ages because of lockdown and shit. So excited to hang out with Mark this afternoon.
Yay! And
Dan and Lara as well, obviously.
That's just an added bonus.
Yeah. Well, Lara, or sometimes with Dan, I have to fire him. So love you, Dan. So today we are doing Album Club, which is our series where we all bring an album from a certain year and discuss it, and at the end we decide which is our favorite one. Always very important to say, when we do this, we're not specifically saying one album is better than the other. We're just saying we prefer it. It's more to our taste, because obviously music is not a competition and should never be treated as such. So
can I say that I am saying that though? I'm saying.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Every time Colin says that at the start of an episode, I'm thinking, I want the points.
There's points. Wait, there's points.
Oh, there's points, Mark. So at the end, how we decide which is the favourite of the groups is, so me, Dan and Lara all get one vote each, or 1 point for each of our votes, because you being special guest and your vote is more important, you get whatever album you pick gets 2 points.
And I can pick my own, right?
We've never actually clarified whether you can do that or not. I think we just assumed that we couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, I've not won yet, so maybe I should go with that tactic. So the year we're doing is 2017, which Lara picked from when she won last time with Borders and Boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you get to talk about your album first.
Oh, cool. All right. So I chose the Bomb Pop's debut album. I can't remember the name of it now because I didn't write it down.
Fear of Missing Out.
Yes, that's it. I thought it was. I didn't want to say it just in case it wasn't.
I've got notes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so it's kind of a nice kind of standard California pop punk skate punk album. Two girls, Polly and Jen, kind of fronting the band, I guess, which is really important for me. When I found them, they kind of changed my life in a way, because I was kind of going down this road with music where I just didn't really know what I wanted to listen to. You know, sometimes you kind of get stuck. I found my mid-20s, I was in a bit of a rut, and then I don't know, I found the Bomb Pops and they literally changed my life. So there was no other album I could choose for this year, really. That was the only one for me. So it's a debut album. I won't kind of go too much into it, because have you heard of the Mabel Syndrome podcast?
Yes.
Jen and Polly are on that from a few years ago when they first kind of brought the album out, and they kind of talk on that through sort of their writing process, and also how they actually ended up getting signed to Fat Records, and how difficult it was in the at the start, because Fat Mike apparently was your songs, they need catchy choruses, you need to go and listen to the Beatles and then come back with better writing, essentially. The irony being, of course, Fat Wreck signed Boomer Patrol, which I do love as well, but it's a quality difference.
Wow.
So yeah,
I know Simon quite well. I'm going to tell him that.
Oh no, I love Goob. I think they're great, but it's just I just find it funny the quality difference is that they had to go away and rewrite. But I think I find they're important for me. I think they are quite an important new band. I think and Jen and Polly, they're such really like lovely people as well. So yeah, that's the album I chose. Like I said, there was no other option really for me to pick. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah. Shall I go first? I'll go first. I'll make executive decision. I'm going first. Right. So I've seen the Bomb Pops a few times, and I've always like enjoyed their live show, but I haven't really ever listened to their albums for whatever reason. I have to say, like, I think I prefer them live rather than recorded.
Yeah.
Like, especially the poppier songs that I think they're too poppy on the album. Does that make sense? Like, there's not much of an edge to it. Like, what's the single? California.
Yeah, See You in July.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, like that. I really like that song, but I just wish it had more of a edge to it.
Okay, yeah.
But then it's quite a varied album though for like a pop punk album, which I thought was quite surprising. Like, and there's like a hardcore song sort of popped up halfway through, which is good.
Yeah.
I was reading about it. I saw that Be Sweet was written by Brandon Carlisle of Teenage Bottle Rocket.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is a nice little, because like Teenage Bottle Rocket, I mean, obviously they've been in the news this weekend.
Yeah. Are we mentioning that?
We're talking about them as good songwriters, and we'll leave it there, I think.
What? I've missed this.
I've missed it as well.
Well, I feel like we maybe shouldn't say too much.
It's like breaking news, is it? Or...
Well, I don't want to potentially get sued.
Oh Christ! Okay.
Yeah, but
I was gonna have a little look on Instagram.
yeah. Have a Google or Instagram when this is done.
Yeah.
But Brandon obviously wrote that, then sort of sadly passed away. I guess not long after, which is sad. So that's quite a nice sort of thing for that to be on there. Jen and Polly's vocals are both fantastic. And
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think as well, like what's really cool, and obviously in this, it's more maybe in like the second album they brought out last year, but you can tell the difference in the songwriting as well. Like there's definite Polly songs and definite Jen songs as well. So that's a really cool contrast too with the voices.
Yeah, my last point was basically what you said. It's like really good for sort of girls, sort of women, non-men, to see a band like the Bomb Pops just like kicking ass, because as I say, there's not enough. Punk is predominantly white male bands, so it's great to see more bands like that coming through. Like Bad Cop as well, sort of seeing them smash it now.
Yeah,
so that's cool. But yeah, they were my thoughts on Fear of Missing Out.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's fair. Cool.
To be honest, I got some really similar notes down for them. Like, I really like Bomb Pops. Really like them. I think back in, I can't even remember the date now, so don't quote me on it, but I think probably around 2018, 2017, maybe even 2016, thinking about it, we used to run a little record label and do some shows and that with Paul down at New Cross, as Colin's mentioned already, but we put them on, and it was just an awesome show. And I kind of agree with Colin there that they're really, really, really tight live band. But I mean, I kind of love the poppy stuff as well. So I think it really works on CD. I think the vocals complement each other really well as well, which is something that you don't find, especially with I don't want to say female fronted. That's terrible, but you know what I mean. Like a band that's not all male. You sometimes find it a bit jarring sometimes, or it takes a couple of songs to slip into it. But I think it's really, really, really well done. I was going to point out CA in July as well. I thought that was obviously standout song, but I think I've heard that on a comp of some sort. Again, I didn't really listen to the albums until I got asked to a couple of weeks ago. So they've just kind of been in the background, just random songs here and there. But yeah, I thought it's awesome. Really like it.
Cool.
It's interesting that people say like it's nice for people to hear like women in punk rock, because the Bomb Pops were the first like sort of punk rock band that I was made aware of. Like I found Out of Hand on YouTube and I thought, wow, this is the first like band with female singers I can get into. Like they sound like all the other bands that I listened to, and like I think that was really cool. So when they signed to Fat Wreck and put this out, I fucking adore this album. Basically, like it's got the Fat Wreck thing where it's the first album that they did with on Fat Wreck, so they literally threw everything at it. Like, so like all the songs production wise sound amazing and like just really pop out. Like the heavier ones feel like the guitars and bass and drums just feel like so kick ass, and then the more melodic ones, the vocal hooks sound like perfect. Like I'm a huge fan of Marry Fuck Kill on this album. Like I think the guitar line, like the lead line, just sounds amazing in it. And like I really like sort of kick ass songs that are like fuck sort of relationship sort of things. And then you've got also the nice songs which are like, this is what it's like to be in a relationship that I actually like. And like you've got Jerk, which is about like basically having a stalker because they're in a female fronted band and things like that. And it's there's like different perspectives that you don't get from male dominated bands in female dominated bands. Colin mentioned Bad Cop, which like it's exactly the same with them. They like present subjects usually you don't hear about as much. But I think I absolutely love this album front to back. Like it was it was on my short list of things to pick. So like,
oh no way, that's so cool.
I was stoked somebody else picked it, and it's lovely. Just everything about this album, like it proves that the Bomb Pops can make it with the big boys and essentially like slug it out with the rest of the bands on Fat Wreck. And I think it's an amazing first debut album for them. And the second one is the follow-up, was actually, I think, one of the only albums that breaks the Fat Wreck curse of the second album not sounding good. Like it sounds incredible as well. And if you haven't checked out their second album, you really should, because it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's front to back in it, that one. That is Death in Venice Beach is I just think it's almost like a perfect pop punk album. You got like the songwriting, different styles, but also it's like so like cohesive. It's a really good album. But yeah, Fear of Missing Out, I think is a really, really good debut.
Also, the title track, Fear of Missing Out, is a thing that's not really talked about too often in punk rock, but is a huge problem for a lot of people with sort of mental health where they go out all of the time. And like this idea that you like feel like you're missing out if you don't say yes to everything, but if you say yes to everything you end up being tired and awful, and that's why I look like this today. But it's just a huge thing that's not talked about as much, but you can say no to things and you don't miss out on stuff. And like I just think that it's a really cool concept that's not explored in songs, and I'm glad they made it the title of the album as well.
I found
it was really
go on, Mac.
I was just going to say, I thought it was really reminiscent of Fabulous Disaster as well. Those earlier Fat Wreck albums, they're quite similar, like in terms of the sound, in terms of the harmonies and all that kind of stuff, in terms of the songwriting and the kind of the poppier structures of the song. Just kind of, if you haven't heard of that stuff, anyone that's listening, definitely go back and have a listen to that. It's really similar to Bomb Pops, the way they write and stuff.
Yeah, I was just also going to say, this is their debut album. It was their, and it took them 10 years to release their debut album. So that sort of proves they've really sort of slogged to get where they are now. It's not happened overnight, and that's really credible. It's like they haven't just given up; they've just kept going and going. And so
they must have seen some like changes over those 10 years as well within the scene, like being women in the scene. I suppose there's a lot of reflection on that maybe as well. I think they're a great band. Like I said, really nice people, and like you guys are saying, really great live as well. So yes, they're awesome.
Awesome. So that's the Bomb Pop Fear of Missing Out. Shall I go next, or sort of on my screen we'll sort of go around clockwise? The Zoom does that annoying thing, doesn't it, where everyone's square is in a different place on each screen. But on mine, I'll go next. So my album was not even bloody written the name down of it. And it's got an awkward shit. It's Kid You Not's album from 2017, which was on Deep Helm Records, which was oh dear, hang on, it was. Has anyone written it down?
Oh,
Kid You Not, Never a Dull Moment.
Never a dull moment.
No, never a dull movement. It's called Never a Dull.
I'm dyslexic. I blame that. I read that as moment.
I did as well.
Yeah, me too. No, when I posted my review of it way back then, I like put it as moment, and they're like, yeah, it's actually called movement. I was like, shit. So it's professional. Awkward. Yeah, it's like, but for me, like, it's very obvious, like they're heavily influenced by Iron Sheik. There's no denying
Yeah.
that. But for me, I think that was the best Iron Sheik album of that year. Iron Sheik released their third album that year, and
they did.
Yeah.
and like me personally, I think Kid You Not with this one blew it away. With like Iron Sheik core, I call it.
Oh, I love that.
I think just a really passionate album. Like there are loads of gang vocals, and I'm a big fan of gang vocals. It makes me really want to see them live. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to go to Florida in November for Fest and actually do that, but probably not. Let's be honest. Sad times. There are the songs, sort of a lot of songs about like learning and sort of self-betterment. There's a lot of empowerment going on. I think it's an instantly accessible album as well. That's not a lot. Like it's not a complicated album. It's just a straight punk rock, sing hearts on your sleeve kind of stuff. Yeah. So it was kind of, when I was listening to it, I listened to it yesterday. I was like, this is quite relentless, but I'm not like exhausted listening to this. Like it keeps going and it's not tiring basically, which I think is quite a good thing for a album to sort of just keep, because then it's not like hardcore where each song's like 90 seconds long. They're 3-minute long songs. But yeah, I'm blabbing now. So yeah, Kid You Not, never a dull movement. It's brilliant. I really want to win this week. It's brilliant. I'm really selling it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I absolutely loved it from the second it started. I was like, yep, I love this. This is amazing. And like I said, it's Iron Sheik, Timeshares, Hot Water Music, that sort of feel. Interestingly, like where you said, Carl, it's kind of like self-betterment. I think I don't know whether it's depends on where your mind or your head is at the time listening to it. Like I sort of got the impression where it's almost like you're going through like a struggle and dealing with like the loss of different things and sort of the weight of like everyday life kind of weighing you down. Like for example, in the song No Crying in Baseball, I kind of got like, when I was reading through the lyrics, I was like, oh, this is kind of like a Groundhog Day type thing where you kind of wake up, it's the same shit every day, and you go to sleep and you get up and you do it again. I don't know whether that's just because that's kind of how, like, I'm sure a lot of people feel probably the same way with like the pandemic and things. You kind of locked in, locked down, doing the same thing. You can't really do anything differently, especially working from home as well. Because I just get up, I go into my office, which is this room, and then I just go downstairs and then I go to bed, and then I do the same thing all week. But saying that, you know, it's that kind of feeling of the album is wrapped up in this almost positive, like fast, punchy drums with catchy choruses, gang vocals, which like you, I loved as well. But I really loved it. This was a really good find for me. Like I love sort of gruff punk anyway, but it's quite like that's got that immediate sounding thing that I want, that you kind of instantly want to shout along with, even though you don't know the lyrics yet. So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I love kind of melodic punk rock and harmonies and the shouting gang vocals. Yeah, scores all the points for me.
Yes.
Yeah, loved it.
I think the main thing with gruff punk in general is warmth. It's got to make you feel kind of warm from the get-go, and it's meant to feel like an old friend, which this album really fucking does. Like from the get-go, I was just like, I feel like I've heard this before, and I feel like all these songs, like I can just like immediately sort of learn the hook on it. Like it kind of just grabs you in like a really nice way and just gives you a nice warm hug. And it's just like, it's an album that really presents itself as just lovely. Like, it's the only one out of them I hadn't heard before as well. So for it to be the one that felt familiar as well was really weird for me. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it, to be honest. The only thing, which is the problem with gruff punk as well, is there's not a lot after that to grab you or stand out from the crowd, but everything works perfectly. Everything doesn't feel out of place, and it's just great. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a good 30 minutes, and like, yeah, it's just lovely. Like, I really enjoyed it. I was surprised with how good it was, because I've never heard of the band. So yeah,
exactly. Likewise, I was listening to it, really enjoyed it, but I had to Google them and be like, is it the same guys from Iron Sheik, just in a different band? Or,
yeah.
I was like, it sounds so much like Iron Sheik that like they have the same they obviously have the vocal styles and like the gang stuff, but even down to like the way they were writing with their so they obviously got two guitars, but one of them was doing like the high end jangly kind of stuff in the choruses that Iron Sheik did quite a lot. I really thought it was them. I would have put money on it actually, but yeah, it's great. It's really good. My only I like gruff punk a lot and that kind of stuff. My only thing is, for me, it does get a bit samey after about.
Yeah.
I can kind of deal, but I think it's the same with anything for me. After about 20 minutes of something that's all the same, I get a bit. I switch off. So I had to mentally go back and be like, okay, right, I'm going to start the second half of this album, which I probably do with most albums anyway. Unless I've really got into it. Usually it takes me a couple of attempts. But now, yeah, I've listened to it 3 or 4 times all the way through, and I chucked it on a few playlists, a few songs here and there that I really like.
Yeah.
It's a great album. It's really, really, really good. But yeah, I have the same thing with ska punk as well. I get about 20 minutes in, I'm like, right, I'm done for an hour. I don't need any more ska punk for an hour.
That's enough trumpets.
That's enough, yeah.
Okay, well, that is definitely the best I have done on an album club so far with one of my choices. So
it's a great choice, Colin. Really,
Thanks.
really good. I was really excited when I heard it. Yeah, really excited about it.
It was great, Colin. I'm not voting for you, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's No Crying in Baseball is like an amazing song as well. Like
Yeah.
the bridgy sort of breakdown bit is lovely, and the counter melodies, as Mark said, are just like in the chorus. They just work so perfectly. It's annoying.
awesome. Yeah, it's off the Iron Sheik link. This album was released on Deep Elm Records, which was Latterman's old label. So obviously there's the Iron Sheik.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a nice little fact tidbit for you to go along with. I bring facts and good music today. Awesome. How long do we have before we get timed out? A little while longer. So Dan,
Yes.
you want to go next and potentially be cut off
midway. Yeah, I went for the Homeless Gospel Choir presents Normal, which is one of my favorite records ever. Homeless Gospel Choir, I think I wrote this in a review, but like I forgot about how much I loved this band, and then like I think it was in 2019 between Anti-Flag and one of the other bands that was on the bill, he came out and played a couple songs acoustically, and I think I was like one of 3 people in the crowd that might have known who he was, and I just like pushed to the front and started singing Normal like directly as loud as I could, and it was really nice. I just think this record is absolutely perfect and doesn't get as much attention as it probably should have when it came out. Like everything from like, I feel like the songs are different enough and they connect really, like things with like Normal and Crazy and Sometimes and yeah, Holy Shit, just like all connect with me on like a personal level. And I really, really like how Derek presents like his themes and his hooks, and like, yeah, I think it like keeps me interested all the way through. And there's even a Frank Turner cameo in the middle of it, which is weird. But yeah, I like, if you haven't heard like Homeless Gospel Choir, they're like sort of that folk punk that like sort of strays into punk rock, and like a lot of the songs are based on one guy playing them on an acoustic guitar, and then this is the first record that sort of scales up to a full band. And yeah, it's sort of, I can't even remember what record label it came out, if somebody else has got the note, but
is it AF Records? Must be.
It's AF Records.
Yeah.
It's Chris 2's record label from Anti-Flag. And yeah, I just think it's fantastic, and I just kind of wanted to share it with people, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because I'd never listened to them before, and like I'd heard of it. I didn't realize they'd been going this long as well. Like this isn't even their first album, is it? So
no, it's their second.
Yeah. Well, the timer thing come up, so I think we'll discuss it afterwards. But we'll just do a quick plug for Manchester Punk Festival, because that's one of the best festivals in the world. It's happening next year, Easter weekend, which is the 15th to the 17th of April, in various venues around Manchester. They've released their first lineup a couple of weeks ago. I'm assuming we've all seen it.
I'm assuming we're all going as well.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be there. I live in Manchester now, so that's why. That's my little.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So and who stands out for you all quickly?
Okay, let me get the lineup.
Okay.
Distractor.
Okay. The one, obviously, Triple Sunday is a big one, I guess, for all of us.
Yes.
Like one of the best bands in the UK, deserve to be playing on bigger stages and in front of bigger crowds. So really happy for them.
100%.
See, I was gutted last year with like them obviously cancelling for I mean, obviously they had to cancel, but like, so Triple Sunday, potentially they're missing out on this big opportunity for them. That with Fest as well. It's just
PMX is the one band that I will not miss wherever they are. I love them.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible band from Scotland. If you've not heard PMX, oh my word, they're really, really good.
I'm going to go with 3. Onsin, Drones, and JB Conspiracy. All of them. Oh, and Chewing on Tinfoil. I need to see Chewing on Tinfoil.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
important. Oh, it's going to be so good. And Wolfric are coming back over, and they're from Canada, and they're amazing.
I think I'd like to see Pizza Tramp. I think that they would be cool. Although they are only up the road from me, so yeah. CF98 as well. I love.
Yeah.
I love really catchy. And then also I saw another Don Blake as well. Actually, Don Blake. Yeah, it was in my 3. Seen as Dancer 3, I'll choose 3.
So the other one that really stands out for me, like I was excited for sort of last year again, was Plot 32, a sort of ska punk band. I think from Leeds. I might be wrong. I know they're definitely northern, and I've not got to see them yet. So hopefully they won't clash with another band I really want to see and have to make a difficult decision, because that's the worst thing about festivals, isn't it? When the old schedule comes out and it's like, oh shit, I can't be in 3 places at once.
Me and my best friend are obsessed with Bobby Funk as well, and I can't wait to yell "I'm a cat" at them over and over again.
God, that's incredible. Did you get the avocado vinyl as well?
No, I didn't.
It was like an avocado shaped vinyl with a little brown pit in the middle. Oh, it's incredible.
Amazing.
Bobby Funk's great.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. So MPF tickets, I think they are going very, very quickly. So if you haven't got one, crack on. And I also probably would recommend booking accommodation as soon as you can as well, because that will go quite quickly. Or if not, we're all going to stay at Mark's house, because he's just admitted he lives in Manchester.
Yep. Try and find me, motherfuckers.
All right. Okay. And we'll be back in 1 second for part 2. Hello, welcome back to part 2 of the CPRW podcast. We're playing Album Club. We're about to talk about the Homeless Gospel Choir's album Presents Normal. Who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go first as well. I think so. It was a bit of a weird one for me, because I've kind of got a weird love-hate relationship with folk punk and that kind of jangly kind of weird, you know, the weird aspect where they're like, I'm just going to throw some random stuff in here, and like, which I totally get, and I totally get that it's written that way, and like there's probably a lot more meaning in it than me just initially listening to it for the first time. It took me a few attempts to get into it, but I really, I don't know, I really liked it actually. From about after that first third of the album, I was like, all right, actually, when you actually get the rest of the band involved and stuff like that, I actually really, really dug it. And then went back and listened to it, the first few songs a few more times. I was like, no, I kind of get this. This is cool. I probably wouldn't have picked it myself, but that's just my correct choice, as I would right way. No, yeah, I probably wouldn't have picked it myself, but it's cool. I really like listening to new stuff that I've not heard before, and I've never heard this in my life before. It's never come up on a weird Discover or anything like that. So it was really cool. Yeah, I dug it, but yeah, as I said, I've got a weird love-hate thing. Again, probably the similar kind of thing to ska punk, where I can listen to, you know, so many minutes of it and go, well, I'm done with that now.
Yeah,
you've had your fix.
I've had my fix.
Yeah, I'm the same with that. I like, to start with, I was a bit like, oh, okay. But then when the full band comes in, I really, really enjoyed it. Like the lyrics throughout the whole, I'm not going to start quoting them, but they just, like, I thought really painted a really good picture of like what's going on. Like, I mean, to call them simple sounds rude, but they just, again, like accessible, and you kind of, you know, there's no hidden context a lot of the time. I felt it's just like, this is what it is, and I get it. Yeah, I really like the vocals. I'm a big fan of like a rawer sort of folk kind of vocal. I think it just adds a bit more of like an intensity to like folk punk, which that's really cool. And the gang vocals when they come in, they feel like a really big celebration. Like this is a big party now. And there are quite a few across the album, which does make sense when it's called a choir, which I eventually got like at 10 o'clock last night when I was making notes. I was impressed with my brain to finally make that connection. Yeah, I think I'd say a lot of the songs are quite relatable and they're also quite cathartic as well. Like these songs will like resonate with a lot of people and hopefully make them feel better, or at least make them feel like they're not alone, which is quite a good thing. I did prefer the faster songs to the slower ones, but again, that's just my taste. I prefer a sort of faster, more energetic song. And my last thing I wrote was reminds me a bit of Davey Dynamite, and his album, like Holy Shit, is my favorite album of all time. So
I made that comparison in my head when I picked it. I was like, I think Colin might really enjoy this.
Yeah, I will argue Davey Dynamite's song Holy Shit is better, because they both got songs called Holy Shit on their albums. So yeah, that was my thoughts.
Cool. Yeah, like you said, Colin, I agree with Mark. Actually, my views on kind of folk punk is kind of the same. Like, it's not. I was actually surprised really, because I thought, Colin, you would pick this, and Dan had picked Kid You Not. That was what I would have gone with, and I could put my money on it. But yeah, it's yeah. I like the faster songs as well. Like you said, Mark, as well, like the first sort of third of the album, I was a bit like, I'm not sure if I could even get into it. But then I listened to it a few more times and I did start to enjoy a couple of songs on there. I don't know what it is with me. I just can't get on with, I don't know, I just didn't take to his voice, like the tone in some of the songs. I just didn't really take to. And I found a bit like, I'm not really, I don't know, I just didn't like the way it kind of, you know, there's sometimes that strained kind of voice, which works sometimes, but I didn't click on it this time. But yeah, it is on the kind of the better side of folk punk for me. It's got some pop punk sensibilities in there, which I really kind of liked and helped me get into it. I think it's really related. The lyrics are like really relatable. It's quite self-reflective for him, but also that means then it's easier for people to kind of relate to. I think, you know, we're all in like our 20s or 30s and we can relate to the things he's writing about mostly, but also then it's like quite politically driven at times too, which was quite cool to listen to, bringing up sort of like police violence, poverty, and religion quite heavily in there as well. So that was like a nice little addition. But yeah, not my like quote unquote cup of tea, but there were some songs like I really liked Crazy and I really liked 1983 as well. I thought they were really cool songs. I've actually added those to some playlists. So yeah, it was okay. When I first heard like the first song, I was like, oh, I'm gonna struggle with this one. But but it wasn't on like the hippie side of folk punk, which I really can't, like I just can't with that for whatever reason. But yeah, it was all right. Yeah. I haven't listened to any of their other stuff though, but yeah, it's good. It's all right.
Yeah, I haven't listened to their other stuff, but I think I'm very going to give it a go at some point, probably today.
Yeah,
well, I think I might as well. But
there's a song on the third album called "Don't Compare," and it might be one of the best songs I've heard, which I really recommend checking out. And he's apparently coming to the UK with a full band at some point, and his live show is phenomenal, and I really recommend people checking it out when he decides he'll come over now.
How did you discover him?
I heard him on, there was a anti-war comp and one of his songs was on it. It was mainly AF bands. I think they managed to like get Tom Morello to play on one of the songs as well, and I was like, yeah, I'll check this out. And then there was a song by the Homeless Gospel Choir and I was like, this really, it was one of my favorite songs on the comp, so I bought a record by them, and yeah, I've bought every record since.
Awesome. Yeah. So anyone else got anything to add before we move on to Mark's choice? All right, so Mark, take it away. Your correct better choice.
You'll listen to me now. No, so 2017 was a bit of a weird year for me. Generally speaking, it's the year that I moved from London up to, well, close to where I live now, to up north.
Was it that long? Fuck.
It was that long ago, mate. Yeah, and it's actually why I struggled picking an album from this year in particular. Just I didn't really listen to an awful lot of music this year. This is the year that I moved in with my singer from my band, Matt, my best mate, and his family. So I lived with him and his wife and kids, which is quite interesting for a few months. And then yeah, got a cool job offer and moved up. So it was a bit of a whirlwind year for me in terms of personally and what I was going through as well. But 2 albums, I went back through like what I'd played, and you get like a best of the year, that kind of stuff. And I definitely. The problem with me is I tend to get a lot of albums a couple of years after they've been released. So there's a whole bunch of albums that I'd listened to that year. Stuff like Stabbed in Back, which was the most listened thing that I'd listened to that year. It's an incredible album, but it came out the year before, so I couldn't pick that, unfortunately. But 2 that I played all year pretty much were Friends of Rom, Hivers album, which is brilliant. I was going to put that on as my choice, or Propagandy, but I listened to Propagandy more. And I know getting in a room full of like people that like punk music and obviously other different types of music as well, Propagandy is quite a weird talking point, because you either really like them or you just don't. And I thought, you know what, I bet you that as 1 or 2 of you in whoever's going to be in this today, that probably wouldn't enjoy Propagandy or haven't maybe given them the chance that I think they would want. So that's kind of my idea of putting that in there. I also know it's probably one of the most well-known records of that year, and I was trying desperately to find something a bit more, a bit more under the radar that not many people have heard of, but just to kind of impress you guys, but it wasn't going to fly, unfortunately. So I picked this, and it was also the year I saw them in the Electric Ballroom in London, and then I went to Punk Rock Holiday and watched them there as well. So it was absolutely crazy. I believe it was that year, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. They're kind of the way they kind of go from soft to fast to heavy. Their lyrics always floors me. I always look up all the lyrics and kind of read what the songs are about, because obviously there's a lot of political connotations in all the songs and stories behind them, and sometimes even just weird stories, like or even kind of made up political stories, like the whole the Adventures in Zootropolis, the last song on the album, is just crazy, and it gives me goosebumps listening to it. That whole middle part where the dad is kind of saying to his sons, like, kind of get out of here, like, I'm the one that's trapped in here. It's my kind of, it's obviously not meant to be taken that literal. It's meant to be about everything going on around us and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's crazy. It's really, really, really meaningful. There's a lot of stuff in there. Goes back through history of like racism and all this kind of stuff as well. I just thought it's a standout album that year. It was absolutely incredible, and I still have it on my playlist, like almost weekly. I'll listen to that album. Yeah, Propagandy is a weird one, really, because they've come from such a weird fast punk to like snotty fast punk to then getting a bit more hardcore. Then they just went really heavy, and like it takes a bit of conditioning to get used to how they play. I think if you listen to their albums, you kind of you like all the softer songs, and then you give the harder songs a little bit more of a listen each time, and then every time you go through, you start building up this kind of like, oh, I like the heavy ones now, even though they sound like, you put it onto somebody who's not really heard that stuff before, they're like, what is this? This is insane. But yeah, it's great. That was my thoughts on that album.
You've sold it well. Who wants to
Appreciate it.
go first on this one?
I'll dive straight in. I'm super glad somebody picked Victory Lap. It was like another one where I was like, oh, I really could pick this. And every time I go back and listen to a Propagandy album, I feel like I appreciate it more and learn more about it. I feel like they're albums that you can just keep going into and like learning more and more and more. And like, as a band, their songs are stupidly complex and their lyricism is really, really good and on point. Like, I'm just a huge fan of it from the get-go. Like, Victory Lap has one of the most iconic punk rock riffs in it, and like the lyric, what was it? God, Can You Hear Me? It's me in the denim jacket, like always gets a smile out of me. I flipping love it. And then like straight into Comply and Resist. It's like, the blend between like heavy and like slow in that is just absolutely perfect. As an album, it's up there as like a perfect album. Like it's stupidly good, and like there is a reason that Propaganda is one of the bands that everyone looks up to as one of the heralds of skate punk. It's like politicism and just generally like it's perfect. Like I don't know how else to describe it, and I'm so glad that I managed to listen to it again, because when it came out I don't think I got it fully, because it wasn't an instant, like it's not like a pop punk album where you can just listen to it and go, yeah, I get this. You actually have to sit with it for a good long time. And like, yeah, my favorite song is definitely Letters to Young Angus. Like I love the blend of fast and slow in that. Like the riff, like opening riff straight into the lightning quick bit just sounds amazing. Like, it's amazing. I love it.
Is that name song? Is they Angus? On Spotify it says Young Anus.
It's anus. Anus.
Yeah.
I know that's my dyslexia again. I am so sorry. It says anus in front of me
Oh,
as well.
I was very much just assuming that it was a typo on Spotify's part.
I assumed it was a typo as well. Yeah.
No, it's, if you listen to what it's about, it's I'm trying to think. It's about kind of moving around kids that have been kind of abused and that kind of stuff. If I'm trying to remember, because it's not one of those ones that I looked at for a long time, but I think that's what it's about. It's a pretty crazy song, but it's awesome.
Yeah, so my thoughts. Yeah, I've been worried about this. I'll rip the plaster off and just so like Propaganda. I respect them massively as a band, and like how strongly they stick to like all their sort of ethics and stuff, and obviously their music is political and social, and like even stuff like when they won't play a festival with like a big sponsor, and to have like the balls, we'll say, to just to stick to their guns like that, and when they could probably make a hell of a lot of money if they were to play bigger festivals with all these massive sponsors. That's like amazing, and fair play to them. But I just can't get behind like the music as the songs. I really struggle with Propaganda. I've tried so many times with so many different albums, and even like this one, I'm very, very sorry. It took me 3 times to just listen to it all the way through once, and that was in 3 different parts. It just say boring sounds really harsh, but what's a nicer word for boring? It's just not for me for some reason. Like I try so hard, and I know how much.
Grab you.
Yeah, it just doesn't grab me, and I'm really sorry to Mark and Propaganda. But as I say, like as people and like their messages, they're incredible, and they have all my respect I can possibly give them. But just their sound is not a sound for me. That's maybe the nicest way I could put that. shit, we've lost the guest. I'm sorry, Mark. I still love you.
All good, man.
Yeah, sorry.
That's the clipping bit that you need to get, Colin, for the trailer for this one. It's not for me. Slams people.
Yeah. I looked at the album like at the length when I was listening to it, and it's like 15 songs in like 45 minutes. It's not even that long. But it felt...
Well, wait. I took off the last 3 because they're just bonus tracks, and they're actually not that great. But the original one is only 12 tracks.
Is it only 12? I just seemed to...
Yeah.
I listened to 3 songs I didn't need to. I could have done it in half the time.
I've only listened to the 12-track version. I didn't even know there was bonus tracks.
Yeah, I
think they're covers as well of their older metal bands, so they don't really fit with that album.
Didn't even realise. Yeah, sorry. There's my opinions on Propaganda. Apologies. Also, if Tree is listening, please still let me come to MPF.
I think that's a bannable offence, isn't it?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. For me, like they've like Propaganda have always been one of those bands that's sort of like on the outside of what I'm listening to, and I've never taken the time to listen to them. Like I've heard some songs on comps or whatever, or on a playlist someone has sent me, but I've never actually sat and listened to an album start to finish with them, which is weird because they are one of those bands where I feel like I know a lot about, even though I haven't actually really listened to them in any sort of real capacity. When I listened to this album, I was like, this isn't what I remember in my head, what I thought they sounded like. So I don't know, I must have listened to some like earlier stuff. That's kind of what I remember from like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago or whatever. So I got on this one, it was, obviously you got the hardcore kind of melodic side of things. But at times, like I also found, especially with like the Comply Resist song, there's like almost like a 90s alt rock kind of sound at the start of that before it goes into the heavier stuff. But then also kind of, as you go through the album, you also get like these really heavy kind of like more metal type riffs as well, which I guess plays more into the hardcore side of it. Obviously, you know, they're heavily like politically driven. And also I think the lyrics can be quite as aggressive as the sound can be as well, as like the guitars and the drums. Which works really well. It's quite a heavy listen. Like I don't think I could casually listen to it and just have it on in the background. I feel like I've got to listen to it, and like when I was reading through the lyrics, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like going to tire me out by the end of it. Another thing as well, like it's not just, I always like a band that aren't afraid to, like you were saying, Carl, like be quite open and honest with their political views. And it's always refreshing for me to have a band come out and be like, also, like, we don't think animal abuse is that cool either, so we're going to write a song about it, but not in a preachy way, so it is actually accessible for people to listen to. So Lower Order, A Good Laugh, is about, I think, like an experience that someone would have had going into maybe like a slaughterhouse for the first time and seeing how that process goes. So that was really hard to like read the lyrics to, because I'm quite sensitive about all that sort of stuff. So I was like, I'm not going to cry reading like words. But yeah, it was not done in a preachy way, so it's easier for people to get on board with that sort of thing. And I think we've obviously got such a long history going from like the mid 80s or whatever up to now. They are obviously quite good songwriters. So it was a mixture like album. It was like, there was a lot going on it, and I was kind of worn out after listening to it. It's very heavy, atmospheric album, and if that makes sense. Like, and I think the artwork on the front kind of almost reflects that too, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like a heavy atmosphere with it, I guess, but in a positive way, like as in like politically it's quite heavy. Yeah. I don't really know what I'm trying to get at here. I've kind of
you're 100%. I think you're pretty much 100% right. It's if you've not heard of it, if you've not listened to that particular album before, or you don't know much about the lyrics, it's heavy, but not in the same way as music heavy. It's heavy to kind of, like you were talking about the animal abuse one. I think it goes into the fact that as a kid he saw like a load of dead chicks on the road because somebody crushed them all, and that was next to a slaughterhouse. It's insane. Like listen to it. Really is not a chore, because that's the wrong word, but it's eye-opening, and it's also makes you want to read a bit more and stuff. And
him talking about like being taken out on a hunting trip and then basically letting his father down as well after basically seeing that animal abuse and then saying like, I can't do this. It's like, it's really really sad.
Yeah, it's heart-wrenching.
The one thing I was going to say is I feel like this is one of the easier propaganda albums to get into.
Really?
Yeah. By a fair margin. I think Failed States and Supporting Castle are so difficult to get into, which are the last two before this one, if I'm right. Mark?
I'd agree. I'd say Supporting Cast probably has a lot more poppier songs on it, but it's also got a lot heavier songs on it. So it goes from swings the needle a lot harder than this one, I would say. But it's good. I also had this whole thing go on with when I went to Punk Rock Holiday. I missed my coach in the morning, so I ended up hanging around the hotel waiting for a taxi, and ended up talking to George who's the bassist from Propaganda, and he's an artist as well. I don't know if you know, but he does all their paintings for their covers and stuff like that. So we ended up chatting about art and stuff for quite a long time. It was quite nice. So I didn't even, because I know I was a massive fan, I didn't want to do the whole fanboy thing, so I just kind of talked about art for the whole time, which is, I think he probably appreciated maybe. He's well into his paintings. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his. He's got like still life drawing and stuff like that, which is I do that as well. So.
I think the artwork for Victory Lap is one of my favorite covers as well. It's very iconic. And the other thing I was going to say, it was their first record with their new guitarist as well, like the first full length, and she kills it all the way through.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah,
I was watching their process of picking guitarists for quite a long time. I think they showed quite a lot of clips online of their practice space with a few different guitarists and stuff, and like she seemed to like absolutely nail it.
All right. Yeah, I feel like I should maybe give this another go because you've spoken really well of it, and I'll sit and read the lyrics while I listen.
I was going to say, read the lyrics while you listen. Definitely, that is a massive turning point for me. Was listening to the music with the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I usually do that as well. I don't know why I didn't, to be honest. Probably unorganized, probably.
Just lazy, Colin. You're not doing anything, mate. You're just lazy. Just letting your beard grow out. You know. Yeah. Laziness.
This is probably why I should have gone to a gig just to get rid of the bloody thing. And I've had to tie it up today. You see, I've got ponytailing today.
Okay.
Getting ridiculous now. But they
Wait, when I first met you, you had no beard and like you had like a nice suit hairdo, kind of, you know, like. Yeah,
I used to. I mean, I've
gone like you look like the type of person that would enjoy propaganda now more than you did back then.
And folk punk.
And folk punk.
I could go to a Days and Days gig now and look great. All right, so I guess it's time to pick everyone's favourite. Lara started, so you can pick first.
Kid you not, 100%. It was a clear winner. As soon as before I'd even, because that was the first on the playlist. And as soon as it started playing, I was like, it's already won. It's like I haven't even listened to the rest. I know which one I'm picking. So, yeah, it just ticked all the boxes for me. It's got the gruff punk, kind of the lyrics, the feeling, everything. I just really related to it, and I just love the sound of it. Yeah, that's my choice.
Thanks.
No worries.
Yeah, my pick is going to be Propaganda. No, Homeless Gospel Choir. That was, I think, Homeless Gospel Choir, because it surprised me how much I did enjoy it, because I'd not really listened before. I didn't really go in with especially high hopes, but no, that was great. So that's my one.
Cool.
Dan?
I'm going to surprise no one and say Victory Lap by Propaganda. It's just a perfect thing, front to back. Like, I'm so glad I got to enjoy it again and like learn more about it.
Oh, so Mark, you have a deciding vote here with your 2 points.
Yeah, I'm going to say Propaganda. No, I'm joking. I'm going to go with Bump Ups because genuinely that album was great, and I as much as I like both of the choices, I thought Bump Ups reminded me of that time, especially when we put them on and kind of the whole thing going around there. Just it was good.
Was that an all-dayer? I seem to remember it being an all-dayer with the Bump Ups.
I think with anything Fat Rockers, we used to try and make it an all-dayer anyway, just because we were worried about minimum guarantees and stuff. So we were like, just throw as many bands on as we can. Like that was a kind of a thing. But I want to say Bump Ups. I'm not sure if it was actually. I think that was just maybe 5 or 6 bands. I couldn't tell you.
That's an all-dayer in my head. I feel like Dead Neck played before them, which was a really odd.
Yeah.
Switch there, but Dead Neck into Bump Ups. That rings a bell.
I have the poster somewhere, so I could tell you what it was, but I just can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm sure Paul will know when he listens. He'll send a message. So the Bump Ups, Fear of Missing Out, is our favourite album of 2017, apparently.
Hey.
I was so close. I thought I was going to win this time. But,
it was a really good pick. It was a really good pick. I gauge you. Like, it was much better than the last pick.
I had. Yeah, never heard of Christ.
I thought you were going to win it this week, Colin, I'll be honest. I thought Kid You Know was awesome. I'm always happy to win. It's fine.
You would have won it unless Mark didn't pick. To be honest, both of Mark's choices would have clinched it for me.
Yeah.
I love High Vis T as well.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible album.
Never mind. Next time. So, Lara, you get to pick what the next year we're going to do is? Do you remember which ones we've done? Because I've just been trying to think and I ain't got a clue.
Yeah, I think we've done. I think we did last year. I think we did 2020. I think we've done. Well, obviously we've done 2017. I think we've done 2015, and I think we've done 2000.
Yeah, we
Is
did
that right?
2000 because that's why I ended up
Yeah.
picking up Nerf Herder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just stick with. I'll just go with 2019 then.
2019.
Relatively newish.
Awesome.
Ooh.
What came out? I should have remembered 2019. That wasn't that long ago.
Age of
Captain Asshole
Unreason
came out.
by Bad Religion.
Oh yeah, Captain Arsehole then.
Russian Girlfriends, I think they brought out something in 2019.
2019 was a really strong year, wasn't it?
Billie
Burn
Eilish
Tapes
brought
as well.
out her
2019.
Yeah, I think it was.
Wow, yeah, this is going to be a tough choice to just pick something. Right, we've got 7 minutes before the Zoom times us out. Have we got anything we want to sort of plug or tape it shut up to much, Dan?
I'm still looking for a bass player.
If you want to join Tape It Shut and you can play bass and hang out with Dan in like the Reading area, then email Dan at his internet address. That would be a really slick move if I actually knew your email address off by heart. I do not.
At tapeitshut@gmail.com. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
Facebook messaging.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything I've really enjoyed recently that I want to plug. 1 second. Hassan's new EP from I'm going to butcher this, Launa. Sort of Palestinian hip hop.
I just assumed it was Luna.
It could be anything, to be honest. As we've had 2 dyslexic mistakes today, it could be anything. But yeah, that's really good. Sunliner put out a new single that was recorded by Frank Turner called Old Habits. That's fantastic. And yeah, the new Belvedere album's amazing as well. Hindsight is The Sixth Sense is incredible. And that's on Lockjaw Records.
Awesome. I don't think I have anything I need to plug. I've been really lazy with CPRW record stuff, and I've got some stuff I need to finish and a project I've got to start with Matt from Ear Nutrition. But again, lazy and life and all that kind of jazz. I've also been we've been busy writing for CPRW again, so hopefully now gigs are back, because we said like we're going to come back when gigs are back. So once we get a nice big backlog going, there'll be reviews again, and hopefully some top 10s and columns and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, look out for that if you haven't liked the page yet, or follow it, or because reach is always a wonderful thing, and it's really hard to get because Facebook are horrible and only care about the pennies.
Oh yeah, Facebook's the worst.
I could plug my own art, maybe.
Please.
Oh yeah,
please.
Yeah, so I do art. So if you like art, come and have a look. No, I do posters and all this kind of stuff, official and unofficial in some places. So come and have a look at my website. Just Mark.
Is that a poster of yours behind you, quite possibly, Mark?
Unfortunately, no. It's a guy called Ken Taylor who did a Jurassic Park poster, and but if you like Jurassic Park and artwork, I'm the guy.
Yeah. If I was sitting in my living room, I could be like, "This is a Mark Bell design behind me."
Yes.
This is a Mark Bell original T-shirt for the Murder Bogus.
Emma was kind enough to buy one of my APs, which big old. I didn't think she realised how big it was. It's a screen printed Lion King print. It's like 24 by 36 inches, so it's about the same size as this behind me.
It's massive.
But, I'm doing a commission later on in the year for Forrest Gump. So if anybody likes Forrest Gump, I think we're going to have about 50 places for that. I've got some. If you like Four Lions, the film Four Lions, I've got there's a gallery in the States called Gallery 1988. They're doing next month. They're doing a small set of prints that are mine. They're going to be signed and numbered, so you can pick one up from there or from me afterwards, because I've got a few APs for myself. So I said I wasn't going to plug anything, Colin, didn't I?
That's some fantastic plugging. Are you working on anything with Mug at the moment, or is it?
No. Do you know what? I was gonna bring up the Mug thing. So we're in the same place that we have for a while. So our bassist has just had a little boy last month. I am in the process, or rather my partner's in the process of cooking one up. So October, ours is due as well. But mug-wise, album's completely demoed. We're literally just trying to get time, because Mike runs 3 pubs. He's the drummer of our band. We're trying to get time to get down to record the drums. Hopefully get time to record the guitar before my little one arrives. I'm going to then pass it over to Mike to do the bass while I'm dealing with baby. Yeah, and it'll slowly get there. But you know us, Colin. It's been about 4 years since we released anything. It's probably going to be another 4 years. So
I will continue to look forward to it, and hopefully when you're settled down with babies and stuff, and you hopefully see you guys live again soon, because I always enjoy watching you live.
I can't wait.
Or just to see you back at New Cross jumping on stage to fix something, because that was always the thing that happened.
That's my go-to thing.
Yeah.
Jumping on stage.
So when you moved, I was like, who's gonna fix things now?
It's all about me. I just like the limelight, mate. So
that's good.
And then I realise when I'm up there, if I can't be on stage, so I just pretend to do something.
Because you're quite a big man as well, so you stand out when you're on the stage. Right, okay, on everything plugged, I guess time to say goodbye. Thanks everyone.
Very much for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you all, and hopefully we're going to actually get to hang out with Lara in a couple of weeks when me and Emma pop off to Wales. At the time this goes out, could have already happened, and we could hate each other. But we'll never see Lara again. Yeah, so hopefully you see everyone at gigs and stuff soon, and stay safe. Keep telling Boris Johnson he's a prick, and Preeti Patel, she can fuck off as well.
What a terrible is she even a real person? Like, she's terrible, isn't she?
She is.
It's like every time something comes out and I think it can't, like, she can't get any worse than this, and then she does consistently, like almost every day. She's terrible.
It's like they've made the Wicked Witch of the West a real person.
Yeah, oh, definitely. She's awful. Awful.
Right. Now we really need to try and end this on a brighter note.
I actually quite like her.
I actually think she's quite attractive.
These are the bits I'm clipping. Right, yeah. Thanks everyone. Stay safe. See you all soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
How do I record that?